Hey gamers, it me, Austin. I don't like video game updates. What is this? Modern gaming consists of 10% actually playing the game and 90% of the time waiting for it to be done downloading. When I'm done with my daily grind session after a long day of doing nothing, the last thing I want to do is sit there and wait for my goddamn Fortnite. So let's go back to the beginning of gaming. It's 1984, literally. The hot new trend of video game consoles are back. Oh my god, this plumbing game looks amazing. And this blue thing, my god, I gotta. So you stroll to your local loneliness store and pick up copies of your favorite games. Popping them into the console, you get the full game. That's right, no DLC, no microtransactions, no internet, and no updates. Glitches in the game? Go ahead, have fun. There's no way to go back and fix them. This is why game cartridges were the best. Mwah. When you bought a game, you had the entire game. No waiting, it's all there for you. It's also worth mentioning that these games were tiny. Many of these little things were at best around 300 kilobytes. Some went a little farther than that, but they mostly stayed at or below this number. Now let's move ahead with the SNES and the Genesis. Blast processing. Games generally still function the exact same on these consoles, with the sizing increasing to just a few megabytes. We also saw the advent of cheating, popping your cartridge into a piece of plastic, and it creates a legendary gaming experience, something that we simply can't do anymore because nobody wants to have fun. And nothing will ever be as funny as Big Head. As gaming progressed, one thing was made abundantly clear. If we're gonna have incredible experiences and 8K quality graphics, the file size is gonna go up, but more importantly, there's much more room for failure. How can games fail? Well, when a game is released, no matter how much the developer cracks down on development,
no sleeping.
It's inevitable that a game will have some bugs in it. Sure, glitches are fine, like who doesn't love the Castlevania moonwalk, or the glitch that lets Yoshi eat Baby Mario? God, stop crying, you stupid baby! You don't even have to pay taxes yet! Alright, that's it. Ah, much better. But here's the thing, some glitches are a bit too powerful and some can even cause damage to the cartridge or the hardware, which is not very epic. Now to update a game, you would just need to re-release the game with updated code, but that doesn't do anything to fix the games already sold. What on earth can we do? Moving into the late 90s, pretty much all games were stuck with this limitation. Once the game is out, it's out, baby. Sure, things like the Satellaview and the Sega Saturn Netlick are some very early examples of utilizing the internet to enhance the experience, but they aren't even recognizable compared to the monstrosity we have today. This little thing known as the internet was just starting to get some recognition. It allowed you to connect to the world right from your living room. Imagine the possibilities and how this will permanently alter human society as we know it. One major thing you could do with internet connectivity is alter a game after it's been released. All right, let's update it, baby.
Oh my god.
That's right, the internet is in! In the year 2000, Phantasy Star Online was released for the Sega Dreamcast and is well known as one of the first games to use internet connectivity in a massive way, letting you connect to the servers and play with others. This would be the biggest change to gaming in history, and thanks to this, I can make my Fortnite fish do the Gangnam Style. This kicked off the biggest revolution in gaming history, with the original Xbox releasing in late 2001 and the launch of Xbox Live setting the stage for modern multiplayer gaming. The PS2 and the GameCube also had internet connectivity, but none of the main three allowed you to download games like we do nowadays. The Dreamcast used SegaNet as a way to receive DLC, which means downloadable content, you idiot, with the most notable example of this being used in Sonic Adventure, one of the best Sonic games objectively. The next generation of consoles, the PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii, all had built-in internet support as well as a proper OS. OS meaning operational sussiness. Now my big fat ass already covered this a few months ago, much more in depth, but digital games were starting to become a thing. You didn't have to travel to GameStop to pick up your favorite Marios, Zeldas, and bananas. So now you got the games in whichever way you please, but there's one big problem with the concept of downloading games. What if you decide to release a game and then you decide, hey, I want to do some more? Expand the story, enhance the gameplay, tweak elements of the current game, but most importantly, fix bugs. Bugs are not fun. They make the game worse, but glitches are fun because they're not meant to happen. Like, did you know that you can beat Luigi's Mansion in 7.5 minutes? Yeah, you just play normally until you get to this boss, a tax evading baby, which is totally valid by the way, and then you walk into the wall. When you're done, then you walk very, 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 very carefully until you get here somehow, and then you continue to walk very, 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 very carefully until you're at the end of the game.
I knew this was gonna be easy, but I didn't know it was gonna be that easy.
Glitches are quite epic. They add a lot of spice to the game, but bugs suck. Bugs make things not work properly. They make things look worse. They ruin the immersion. Can I not be immersed in G-Force for God's sake? Look, man, being a guinea pig is way more fun than it looks. So now that we have the ability to download games, what if we could patch up those bugs? Game patches could now be sent out to players, with some games actually requiring it to play, usually online games, and these overwrite the original game to make it run more epic. At this point in time, you could still buy a disc and expect to play the game almost instantly. Yeah, there might be an initial patch, but I don't remember it ever taking that long to finish up. So here's the deal. You could download games from the online stores if you had really good internet and lots of storage space, or you could just use discs and save yourself some trouble. Honestly, a win for both sides. Play digital if you want. I don't care, but don't take away my precious discs. But moving forward into the 2010s, it gets a little weird. Sure, older games had updates to online services with additions and changes to the game, but these made sense as they were a core part of the game. And they still make sense. I don't care if I have to update a game. If it makes it better, go for it. The problem is when we start to move into modern day gaming. That's right, when people actually thought this game deserved Game of the Year. Nowadays, physical copies have basically no benefit from digital gaming unless you prefer to collect or don't have enough storage size. Back in my day, when you plopped a disc in and turned the system on, that disc had everything. No other steps required. The game was instantly available. But Austin, I hear you say, day one updates aren't bad. Okay, so maybe they release a game and a few weeks later they go, we didn't do that so great, as most games do on launch, and eventually release a patch to fix some major bugs. Totally okay and understandable. I get that. But once that was done, then it could be played instantly. Right? Well, no. Nowadays, games are way too big to just play right off the disc, as the disk drive literally cannot read the data fast enough to keep up. So, in order to combat this, and to keep the game running at the best possible performance and speed, many games need to be installed from the disk onto the internal storage of the console, with the disk essentially acting as a key to prove you still own it when you want to play it. But the unfortunate part about this is that the physical copies are essentially useless unless you like collecting games or prefer physical copies. And shockingly, most normal people with game consoles prefer to spend time with loved ones and friends, of which I have plenty, obviously. I mean, come on, it takes up about the same amount of space on the hard drive. The only nice part is that it installs straight from the disk, so you don't need internet for it. But oh, watch out. You think you can just get away with it, huh? No! Remember what I said earlier? I don't like video game updates. Okay, so the idea that you can just ship out a game one day and a little bit later release a patch to fix some bugs that slip through, that's totally fine. I have no problem with that. But the adverse effect is that some publishers keep tightening deadlines, which means that most day one releases aren't just a little buggy, they're straight up horrible. Nowadays, it feels like almost no bug testing happens anymore until after the game is already released. Okay, so I buy a game, right? A physical copy. It installs the game into the system, so I'm already waiting a little bit. That's fine, you know, whatever. I don't really care. But then you see this. No! Like I said, releasing a patch right after the game's release is totally fine. I get it. But my problem is it's almost impossible to find a game that doesn't have a massive day one patch. On top of that, once you initially install the game and get the initial patch, it's still not over. There's probably a good chance that they will update that game again, even if it's tiny. Even worse, there's a chance it could be a huge update. We're talking several gigabytes or dozens of gigabytes. And some of it doesn't even add anything. It just does stuff, I guess. And while I do play video games, it's insane that this is the buildup of updates I have for just a month or two of not playing. Sure, it's great that developers keep working to improve a game, but does every Fortnite and Forza update have to be at least 10 gigabytes? On the other hand, some games do have reasonable, necessary updates to improve the game, add more features, etc. That's fine. But in what world does Rocket League have an excuse to have 7 several gigabyte updates every so often. It's 2 cars and a ball. What are you doing wrong, Epic Games? This is not Epic. Change your name. All in all, I'm not really sure where to go from here. I really miss just being able to plop a game in and press play in less than a second. Maybe I'm just being cynical, or maybe I yearn for a time before the 2008 economic crisis, but you know what? I'm just gonna play an old game for old time's sake. Let's go. No!